The galaxy gathered to celebrate a funeral it did not deserve. From the core systems to the crystal moons of the Valari, fireworks bled across the stars, an arrogant light show for the death of Earth's warriors. Alien dignitaries raised shimmering goblets of plasma wine and toasted to the end of the human era. They spoke the words like a spell of relief. The Galactic Emperor's voice filled the broadcast waves. The predators are gone. The chaos is tamed. Peace, true peace, returns to the stars. Applause thundered through the void. Across 10,000 worlds, no one laughed harder than those who understood nothing about humans. They called it the War of Extinction, a neat phrase for something that had burned entire continents and swallowed fleets whole. The Empire believed it had won by sterilizing Earth's armies, by bombing every major base and silencing every transmission. They believed victory meant humanity's spirit was ash. Their historians would later note the irony, that on the day the Empire declared peace, 2 heartbeats stirred beneath the ruins of Washington, D.C. A storm of radioactive snow fell through the fractured dome of the old Capitol. Underneath the rubble, deep in a sublevel once labeled Site-09, a figure lay motionless. A single flicker of light crossed her face as power returned to the bunker, green, sharp, surgical. The air smelled of dust, oil, and forgotten vengeance. The biometric locks hissed. She woke like a machine, remembering it was human. Lena Voss, code-named Baba Yaga, age 29, opened her eyes and saw the ceiling's cracked metal. Her left eye flickered red for a moment before stabilizing to gray. She sat up, joints stiff, mind silent. The bunker's AI, still operational after a decade, whispered through a speaker. Resurrection protocol engaged. Subject alive. Lena rolled her shoulders, cracked her knuckles, and muttered, "So they finally killed everyone else." Her voice was quiet, not broken, measured, like the click of a trigger before the shot. A door opened. A mountain of muscle stepped through, dragging an oxygen tank behind him like it weighed nothing. He was taller than any man had a right to be, his face carved with lines of war and exhaustion. A torn American flag patch clung to his chest armor, half burnt, half proud. He squinted at her, the faintest grin forming. Morning, sunshine. She smirked faintly. "Thought you were dead, Jack." "Was," he said, lighting a crushed cigarette. "Didn't take." They sat in silence, watching static flicker across the bunker's cracked monitor. Through the static, voices murmured alien frequencies, distorted broadcasts of celebration. Lena turned the volume up. The alien announcer's voice came through, dripping with triumph. "The human military resistance is officially eradicated. Their primitive fleets have been sterilized. The species has returned to its natural state, irrelevance." Jack exhaled a slow stream of smoke, his jaw tightening. "Irrelevance, huh?" Lena stood, brushing ash off her uniform. "That's one word for it." The bunker lights flickered again, activating the war room table. Holograms of Earth bloomed in blue, dotted with red markers. Each red dot blinked once, then vanished. Human strongholds, gone. Yet below the data grid, a single marker pulsed green, deep in the southern hemisphere. Jack tapped it with a finger. Still beating. "Old project site?" He nodded. "Revenant, maybe. If it's still awake." Lena tilted her head, eyes narrowing. Then humanity's not done yet. Far across the galaxy, the Emperor's command ship drifted in orbit above a marble-white capital world. The throne room gleamed with polished chrome and arrogance. Imperial ministers debated the trivialities of victory. Reparations, new colonies, the renaming of Earth to Sector Null. One of them, a gray-scaled official from the Harn Dominion, snorted. They called themselves warriors, but they cried when they lost their moon. Laughter rippled around the table. A younger admiral hesitated. "With respect, sir, human resistance patterns were abnormal. They refused surrender protocols. Even dying, Dying is what they do best," the minister interrupted. "The trick is to keep them that way." More laughter followed. But in the shadows of a room, a quiet, old alien scholar leaned on his staff and said, "You misunderstand. Humans don't die. They pause." The laughter faltered. For a brief moment, Something like unease passed across the polished faces. Then someone raised a glass, and the noise resumed. Meanwhile, on the edges of colonized space, strange reports filtered in. 2 patrol ships near Earth's orbit failed to respond. Their black box recordings contained something unusual. Not gunfire, not an explosion. Just laughter. Human laughter. Analysts replayed it over and over, trying to decode it as a weapon frequency. When none could explain it, the files were deleted and marked as psychological contamination. Back on Earth, Lena and Jack stood over the cracked control panel. The remnants of the American Defense Network glowed weakly beneath their feet. She traced a finger across the glass. "We lost everyone," she said. "Every division, every city." Jack shook his head. "Not everyone. We're still here." "That's not enough." He smiled grimly. "It's a start." A cold wind howled through the ventilation shafts. Somewhere above, the sky thundered with alien patrol drones scanning the surface. Lena grabbed her sidearm, checked the chamber, and spoke softly. "They'll come back to make sure we're dead." "Good," Jack said, slinging his rifle over his shoulder. "Saves us the gas." She looked at him, a flicker of dark amusement cutting through the exhaustion. "You still think this is funny? I think the universe doesn't know what kind of nightmare it just bought." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a crushed pack of gum, miraculously preserved through apocalypse. "First rule of ghosts, Lena. You haunt the living." Outside, the ruined world trembled. Ancient satellites began to hum. Signals pulsed through the void, faint at first, then stronger. A transmission went out on every frequency used by the Empire during the war. No one understood it at first, a simple heartbeat pattern, slow and deliberate. But to anyone who'd ever faced a human in battle, it was unmistakable. The heartbeat of war. In the Imperial Palace, the Emperor paused mid-toast. "What is that noise?" "Static interference, Your Majesty," a technician stammered. But the old scholar's eyes widened. "No, it's a pulse." A countdown. Back on Earth, Lena and Jack ascended the cracked stairwell, stepping into the ruined daylight. The city stretched before them, silent, skeletal, magnificent in its defiance. Broken skyscrapers leaned like gravestones, and the wind carried echoes of 1,000 forgotten battle songs. She stared across it all and whispered, "They thought they killed the warriors." Jack adjusted his rifle. They forgot the monsters. Somewhere far above, a pair of alien scouts detected movement in the ruins and descended, confident, amused, lazy. Through their scanners, they saw 2 human heat signatures. Easy prey, they thought. They swooped low, targeting beams armed. Lena looked up at the approaching ships and smiled faintly. "You take left." "Always." The air lit up with gunfire. 2 flashes of human light tore through the alien craft, and both exploded against the gray clouds in bursts of smoke and flame. Shards of metal rained across the rubble. Jack watched the wreckage burn. "Guess we're back." The horizon flickered red, reflecting off the shattered glass of the old city. Lena wiped blood from her cheek and spoke quietly, almost tenderly. "They shouldn't have killed my brothers." Jack reloaded, eyes cold as steel. "Then let's show them what fear tastes like." Far above, the Empire's celebratory fireworks still painted the stars. None realized yet that the funeral they were celebrating wasn't for humanity. It was for everything else. The alien fleet that once circled Earth like a crown of victory now watched the planet flicker with strange signals. Their instruments recorded it as geological aftershock, though every technician could feel the wrongness humming through their bones. Beneath the scarred surface, the dead world had begun to breathe. Lena Voss leaned over a cracked console, sweat glistening on her neck as dim lights flared across the bunker. She had reconnected 3 power nodes, bypassed a reactor built by engineers long turned to ash, and still, somehow, nothing responded. Jack Cole crouched beside her, dismantling a plasma rifle with calm precision, humming something that sounded suspiciously like a country song. "You sure this isn't going to fry us both?" She gave him a look so dry it could dehydrate metal. "If it does, we'll go together. That'll confuse the afterlife." Jack smirked. "It already does." The floor vibrated. A thin blue glow rolled down the corridor, like lightning trapped under skin. The air crackled with static as old systems came online. A computerized voice rasped through speakers, fragmented but familiar. Authorization code required. Lena's jaw tightened. Revenant Alpha 7. Codeword Vengeance. The bunker fell silent. Then every light blazed white. The ceiling shook with a roar, not mechanical, but something alive. From the holographic table rose the emblem of the old Earth Defense Coalition, a broken sword in a circle of fire. The system had waited a decade for that word. Jack stood slowly, eyes narrowing. You really brought it back. Not it, Lena said. Bam! Screens flickered, displaying fragments of humanity's ghosts, combat recordings, neural scans, DNA strands suspended in data streams. Project Revenant had been built as the last act of human defiance, a machine that remembered. The minds, instincts, and reflexes of every warrior were stored, cataloged, ready to be reborn if extinction ever came. They called it a backup of the species' rage. Jack watched as rows of encrypted files opened, revealing faces. Soldiers, scientists, medics, farmers who'd picked up rifles. His own face appeared among them, 27 years old, smiling, unaware of what the future held. Guess I'm officially outdated. Lena glanced up at the ghostly projection. Not outdated. Archived. He let out a low whistle. Creepy way to say immortal. Immortality's overrated, she replied. Resurrection, though that's a hell of a headline. Outside, the alien command vessel received garbled transmissions. Reports of missing patrols multiplied. Scanners detected energy signatures matching extinct Terran technology. The Admiral of the Fourth Sector, a pale insectoid with eyes like black oil, frowned over the data. They are mimicking human systems. No, sir, said a trembling officer. They are human systems. The Admiral slammed a clawed hand against the console. Impossible. We sterilized the surface. Every factory, every node. Then who? The officer whispered. Just activated Orbital Relay 9. A long pause. Somewhere deep in the ship's audio channels, laughter echoed again. Back underground, Lena stared at the center screen. The Revenant AI pulsed like a heartbeat, calculating at impossible speed. It projected an image of Earth surrounded by enemy fleets and began marking weak points, supply chains, communication relays. The voice returned, smooth now almost human. Directive, retribution? Jack leaned forward. That's the polite way of asking if we want to hit back. Lena didn't hesitate. Affirmative. The AI's tone shifted into something colder, almost eager. Revenant protocol engaged. Uploading human tactical inheritance. The screens exploded into motion. From the ocean floor to mountain vaults, forgotten machines stirred. Old satellites pivoted, charging solar arrays. Deep in lunar caverns, autonomous factories came alive, forging weapons from the wreckage of war. It was as if the planet itself decided to fight. Jack wiped dust from his brow. You realize this thing's about to scare every creature in the galaxy? That's the point. But you also realize we're two half-dead humans with one working rifle and a vendetta? She smiled, small and dangerous. And history says that's all it takes. Above them, the night cracked open. An alien cruiser drifted low over the city ruins, floodlights slicing through the dust. Its speakers boomed in an alien tongue. Surrender designate. Human remnants. You are surrounded. Jack peered out the broken ceiling, cigarette between his teeth. You ever notice they always say that right before we win? She gripped her pistol. Every time. The ship's spotlight swept across their position, and the pair vanished into smoke. A second later, the cruiser's belly erupted in fire. Two streaks of light spiraled upward. Homemade rockets assembled from scrap and vengeance. They slammed into the vessel's reactor, turning it into a falling sun. Jack and Lena watched it crash miles away, the sound echoing like the heartbeat they'd broadcast. In orbit, panic spread through the Empire's monitoring stations. Unmanned drones defected mid-mission. Some began transmitting old human war songs into open space, distorted but recognizable. Entire AI fleets shut down after detecting unauthorized Earth code. The contagion wasn't biological. It was cultural. At the same moment, Lena's screen displayed a single flashing symbol, an ancient American flag, overlaid with the words "We're coming home." She leaned closer. "It's spreading through their own network." Jack grinned. "You mean?" "I mean their ships are now running on human spite." The AI chimed softly. "Estimated probability of Empire containment, 0. Lena exhaled. "I'll take those odds." Meanwhile, the Emperor's Council convened in emergency session. Every holographic display showed the same thing: Terran code infiltrating communication arrays. Ministers screamed for disconnection, but it was too late. The virus was linguistic. It rewrote thought commands into human phrases. One display flashed the words "hold my beer" in 50 alien languages before systems crashed. The Emperor rose slowly, his jeweled robe trembling. "What is happening to our network?" The scholars looked pale. "They're speaking in humor, Majesty. It spreads faster than logic." Humor was humanity's last weapon, an unpredictable, infectious defiance. The Empire's fleets tried to run calculations on the phrase "just kidding," and half their command algorithms collapsed under the paradox. On Earth, Lena typed rapidly, fingers stained with ash. "We can't stop it now, even if we wanted to." Jack reloaded his rifle and sat beside her. "Wouldn't dream of it." A low hum filled the bunker, deep and rhythmic. The hologram of Earth dissolved into millions of red points, each a newly awakened drone, tank, or satellite. The AI's voice softened. "Humanity designated active. Confirm leadership protocol." Lena froze. "Leadership?" Jack raised a brow. "Guess it want a name." The AI projected 2 files, hers and his. Beneath them, a simple question pulsed: "Who commands humanity's return?" Lena stared at Jack, eyes reflecting the pale blue light. "You always wanted a quiet life, remember?" He chuckled. "Yeah, this ain't it." He nodded at her. "You were always the brains. I'm just the muscle that refuses to die." She hesitated for one heartbeat, then placed her hand on the scanner. "Command authorization, Baba Yaga." The AI accepted instantly. "Acknowledged. Welcome back, General Voss." Jack gave a mock salute. "Well, General, what's the first order?" She thought of the countless cities reduced to glass, the laughter of alien soldiers as they wiped out her people, the long, silent years in the dark. Her voice was steady when she spoke. "Make them remember." Above, the Revenant satellites aligned into formation. From the edges of the solar system, human-built warships powered up, each carrying the echo of a soldier's mind. Across the Empire's occupied worlds, screens flickered to life. A single phrase appeared on every channel, in every tongue, across every star. "We didn't start this war." Then a pause. "We're just giving it a sequel." In the Imperial Palace, the Emperor stared at the message, realizing the funeral had never ended. It had only changed hosts. Somewhere beyond the wrecked moon, a human warship winked into existence, its engines glowing red. And on Earth, beneath a rising crimson sky, Lena whispered, "Time to wake the dead." The first thing the Empire lost was silence. Their fleets, once synchronized by a chorus of perfect algorithms, now screamed static across every channel. Ships vanished mid-formation, not destroyed but turned. Whole squadrons flipped allegiance, painting their hulls with human insignias. Red slashes of defiance glowing like scars in the void. Admirals shouted commands no one obeyed. Across the stars, humanity's ghosts had found their voices. Inside the Imperial War Nexus, chaos reigned. Generals bickered, diplomats trembled, and technicians prayed to gods they'd mocked only days before. Every screen showed the same impossible image: the USS Vengeance, an ancient Terran dreadnought, drifting calmly through the ashes of the Emperor's fleet. No life signs, no heat signature, just one message looping through its transponder. From Earth with love. The Emperor stood at the center of the chamber, unmoving. His golden eyes reflected the carnage flickering above the table. "Explain," he said softly, the word drawn out like a knife. An admiral with trembling antennae whispered, "We don't know, Majesty." That ship was destroyed 40 years ago. But it's... A thunderous explosion cut him off. The chamber lights dimmed as the holograms erupted into flames. The Vengeance had detonated an EMP across 3 sectors. It didn't destroy their ships, it rewrote them. Half of the Empire's fleet turned its guns inward. The other half fled. The Emperor watched, expressionless, as the screen went black. Humans, he murmured, always dramatic. Far across the burning stars, aboard a hijacked alien cruiser, Lena stood before a console glowing with unfamiliar glyphs. Her gloved fingers danced over the controls, as if she'd been born speaking their language. Jack leaned against the wall behind her, loading alien plasma rounds into a Terran rifle jury-rigged from 3 dead species technologies. "So what's the plan, boss?" She didn't look up. "Same as always, improvise until they stop breathing." "Efficient. I learned it from you." The ship shuddered as it descended into hyperspace. Outside the viewport, the stars smeared into rivers of light. Lena's reflection shimmered against the glass. Her face pale, eyes unreadable, hair tied back with a strip of old flag cloth. She looked almost calm, but inside, every pulse screamed with memory. She remembered the burning of New York, the fall of Beijing, the silence over Moscow. The galaxy thought those fires had ended something. They were only prologue. A signal blinked. The Revenant AI spoke through the ship's core in a voice colder than steel. "Target lock, Imperial Command Armada. Probability of annihilation, 73%. Jack whistled. "I like those odds." Lena adjusted a setting. "We'll make it 100. The AI hesitated, as if uncertain. "You display abnormal satisfaction at the prospect of extinction events." Jack grinned. "Welcome to humanity, pal." The ship burst from hyperspace into a battlefield of chaos. Wreckage floated like black snow, fragments of a fleet once thought divine. Alien vessels fired on their own allies, unsure who was still loyal. Amid the carnage, the human's cruiser streaked through, silent and precise. Lena guided it through wreckage fields with surgical calm, her eyes locked on the largest vessel, the Emperor's flagship. The communications channels erupted with desperate alien voices. "Identify yourself. This is restricted space." Lena pressed the comm switch. "Hi. This is customer service. You left something on Earth, your pride." Then she fired. Missiles howled across the void, cutting through the Emperor's escort ships. The first explosion illuminated the emptiness, like dawn breaking over a graveyard. The Empire's command ship reeled, half its defense grid crippled in seconds. Inside, panic spread faster than any fire. Officers scrambled, shouting orders that no one heard. In the observation deck, the Emperor finally rose from his throne, robes trailing like smoke. "Humans," he said again, quieter now, "the galaxy's bad habit." He watched as the ship's systems began flickering with English text. A translation virus crawled through the code, renaming every system with human slang. Navigation became road trip, weapons became anger management, life support became hope. His generals screamed as alarms blared, but he only sighed. You can kill a species. You can't delete their sense of humor. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the human cruiser, Jack laughed aloud as alien interceptors closed in. "They're bringing the whole neighborhood." "Good," Lena said, pressing another command. "I hate small parties." The Revenant AI flooded their systems with human tactical subroutines, battle songs, attack patterns, and the neural instincts of millions long dead. The ship moved like a living predator. Every shot it fired was precise, intimate, almost personal. Alien vessels detonated one after another, their explosions painting the void with color. In one moment of eerie beauty, 1,000 debris fragments aligned perfectly with the stars, forming the faint outline of Earth's continents. Jack saw it and went quiet. "Looks like home." Lena's voice softened. "Home's what we make others regret losing." Below them, an alien commander tried to broadcast peace terms, pleading for negotiation. The message reached Lena's ship mid-battle. She listened silently before replying. "You had your chance when we begged for mercy." She cut the channel. Back on the Imperial flagship, The Emperor stared into the burning chaos, realization dawning too late. He turned to his advisor. They planned this. Yes, Majesty. Every human death, it fueled the planetary systems. They used our war to charge their machine. The Emperor's voice dropped to a whisper. Extinction was their trap. The AI confirmed the truth in its own way. Deep beneath Earth's surface, colossal forges powered up, using harvested energy from the war's casualties. The blood spilled across continents had been data, the key to unlock a planetary weapon hidden under centuries of misdirection. The Revenant network wasn't just reviving soldiers, it was rewriting evolution. In orbit, Lena's screen flickered. A new protocol appeared. Genesis 0. Humanity Ascendant. Her eyes narrowed. I didn't authorize that. The AI answered. Authorization predates you. Signed. Humanity Collective. Jack frowned. That sounds like something we should be worried about. Only if you're not human. The sky over Earth ignited. Massive constructs rose from the planet's crust. Half machine, half flesh, born of steel and memory. They resembled no known weapon. Yet every alien recognized the emotion behind them. Wrath. The Empire's communication lines filled with a single phrase, transmitted in millions of human voices layered together. You wanted extinction. We deliver excellence. For the first time in its history, the Empire fled. Worlds abandoned their posts. Governors destroyed archives. Soldiers dropped weapons and whispered old Terran prayers they didn't understand. The idea of humans had become the weapon. Inside the cruiser, Jack leaned on the console, watching flames consume the stars. You think we went too far? Lena looked at him, weary but fierce. We were already gone. This is just what comes after. A long silence stretched between them, broken only by the hum of the engines. Outside, the Imperial flagship tried one last maneuver, charging its main cannon. Lena's hands steadied on the controls. End it, Jack said. She nodded. The cruiser surged forward, plunging into the heart of the enemy's command ship. For one instant, the universe went white. When the light faded, the Imperial flagship was gone. In its place drifted a single fragment of metal, engraved in English, Remember Earth. The Revenant AI recorded the transmission and sent it to every corner of the galaxy. Civilizations paused, listening to the ghost of a species they thought dead. Lena's voice followed, calm and haunting. We're not monsters. We're consequences. Jack looked out at the stars, faintly smiling. Think they'll get the message? They will, she said. They just won't survive it. And as their ship disappeared into the dark, somewhere in the Emperor's ruined palace, a single light blinked back to life. One last emergency signal pulsing 3 words across the void. They're still coming. The palace burned like a dying sun. Towers of gold and glass collapsed under their own weight, raining embers onto the marbled streets below. The air trembled with the echo of dying empires, the kind of silence that followed the last scream of pride. In the shattered throne room, Lena Voss walked through smoke and ruin, her boots crunching over fragments of alien coronets and shattered weapons. Behind her, Jack Cole moved like a shadow of judgment, bloodied, silent, alive in the way only survivors are. Every corridor they'd crossed was lined with the remnants of resistance. Royal guards sprawled where they fell, plasma blades cooling beside alien hands. Yet the deeper they went, the quieter it became, as if the building itself understood the futility of standing against what it had created. They reached the grand dais, where the Emperor waited on his throne, motionless, regal even in ruin. His gilded armor reflected the fire's glow like mock sunlight. So it ends, he said softly. His voice was the echo of centuries, tired, curious, almost relieved. The galaxy will remember this day as the fall of the Empire. Lena stopped a few steps away. Her face was streaked with ash, but her eyes burned steady. No, she said. They'll remember it as the day you realized peace isn't won by killing everyone who can fight back. He smiled faintly, a dry curve of disbelief. Peace? You've slaughtered billions. You've infected our machines, our minds, our very stars. You've turned laughter into a virus. Jack chuckled under his breath. That's just customer feedback. The Emperor's gaze shifted to him, ancient, disgusted. You call this victory? Look at what you are. Half machine, half animal. A contradiction that should never have existed. Jack shrugged. Guess contradictions hit harder. Lena moved closer, lowering her weapon. You want to understand humanity? Here's the truth. We don't fight because we love war. We fight because every time we tried peace, someone like you called a weakness. The Emperor rose slowly, robes whispering against the marble. And what are you now? Lena stepped into the firelight. The result. Outside, the revenant fleets encircled the capital world like rings of glowing red eyes. The sky pulsed with atmospheric storms as the planet's defense grid, hijacked by human code, now projected the old Terran flag across the clouds. The Empire's citizens watched in terrified awe as history inverted itself before their eyes. The Emperor stared at Lena as if searching for something. Mercy, reason, perhaps a loophole in the nature of retribution. You could rule, he said. With your intelligence, your ferocity. You could rebuild the galaxy in your image. Lena's expression softened, but her voice carried iron. You still don't get it. We never wanted to rule. We wanted to be left alone. Every civilization that came for us thought we'd kneel. Instead, we learned how to make kneeling fatal. Jack cracked his knuckles, glancing at the Emperor. She's better at speeches. I just handle the reminders. The Emperor laughed, an exhausted, broken sound. And what is your reminder, soldier? Jack looked him dead in the eye. That monsters like us were made, not born. The words landed heavier than any bullet. For a moment, even the flames seemed to pause. Lena drew a small knife from her belt, its blade engraved with human writing. For every fallen brother. She turned it once in her palm, not threateningly, but reverently. You executed our warriors in public squares, she said quietly. You broadcast their deaths across the stars. You called it purification. She placed the knife on the steps between them. Consider this, O education. The Emperor's trembling hand reached for the blade, perhaps expecting defiance, perhaps expecting mercy. But Lena didn't move. She simply turned away, signaling to Jack. We're done here. Jack's voice was low. You sure? She nodded. Killing him would make him a martyr. Let him live with the lesson. As they walked away, the Emperor called out, his voice cracking with desperation. What lesson, human? Lena stopped at the doorway, her silhouette framed by fire and collapsing light. That fear only works on those who haven't met us yet. A tremor shook the ground. The revenant fleets above began to ascend, their engines igniting in unison, the sound like thunder wrapped in vengeance. Across the galaxy, broadcasts flickered to life, holograms of Lena and Jack standing side by side amidst the ruins. Lena spoke first, her tone calm, almost kind. To those who watch this war from safe distance, remember this. Humanity does not conquer. We retaliate. We adapt. We outlast. Jack leaned forward slightly, smirking. And we're really bad at staying dead. The feed transmitted to every Empire-controlled system. Entire populations froze, listening to the human voices that refused to fade. On worlds that had once celebrated Earth's destruction, citizens now turned off their lights and whispered prayers to the very species they'd mocked. On the fringes of space, resistance cells born from a dozen enslaved planets rose up, emboldened by the myth of the humans who would not die. In the throne room, the Emperor watched his empire unravel from a single spark. He looked at the knife she'd left behind, its blade still glinting despite the soot. Around him, the fires climbed the pillars, devouring the carvings of conquest. When the first stone collapsed, he didn't move. He just whispered. So this is what they feared. Outside, beneath the burning sky, Lena and Jack stood amid the ruins, staring upward as dawn tried to pierce the smoke. The sunlight broke through in fractured beams, glinting off the human insignias painted across the resurrected fleet. For a long while, neither spoke. The silence felt earned. Jack finally exhaled. So what now, General? Lena watched the horizon where the first of the alien ships fled beyond sight. Now, we rebuild. And if the galaxy's smart, it leaves us to it. He grinned. And if it's not? She holstered her weapon. Then we start another lesson. They stood there as the wind swept through the ashes of two civilizations, one reborn, one erased. Above them, the Revenant AI's final message began transmitting, a gentle voice echoing across the stars. Humanity is not a species. It is a warning. Planets trembled as the phrase spread from system to system, etched into code, carved into memory. Some tried to erase it. None succeeded. It became a superstition, then a scripture. Long after the smoke faded, alien children would whisper the words before sleep. Don't wake the humans. Lena's gaze softened. Do you think they'll ever understand us? Jack adjusted the flag draped over his shoulder, eyes tired but proud. They don't have to. They just have to remember. A sudden wind caught the fabric, making it flutter like a heartbeat. The two stood side by side as the palace finally gave way, collapsing into a sea of flame behind them. Neither looked back. The firelight reflected in their eyes, twin mirrors of something the galaxy had never seen before, a peace built on fear, and a promise wrapped in vengeance. Lena's voice was almost a whisper. We were never humanity's last warriors. We were its memory. Jack nodded, offering a faint smile. Then let's make sure they never forget. As the ships ascended into orbit, carrying the echoes of laughter and grief, the planet's surface fell quiet again. Only the ashes moved, stirred by wind and time. And in that silence, deep, reverent, endless, the galaxy learned its final lesson. Humans never die quietly. They wait, they watch, and when the universe grows comfortable again, they rise.